Mayor Pete Buttigieg is here on the show. I feel so lucky.
Oh, likewise. Honored to be with you. I'm a fan.
Oh, that is the loveliest thing you could say. You know, if you've even looked at my Twitter feed over the past 12 months, that I am a huge fan of yours. And I'm so happy that you've made the time to speak with us today, because this is the eve of the presidential election. We're all feeling, if I'm honest in this room, a little weird. Where in the country are you right now, and how are you coping through all this?
So I'm right at home in South Bend, but I've been on the road a lot, too. I was in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, campaigning for Joe Biden. They had me out in Florida not long ago. Feels good to be out on the road, although we do it obviously in a different way now because of the concern for the safety of the people who join us. But now I'm right at home, doing a lot of TV appearances and making a lot of phone calls to friends and encouraging. You know, there's a lot of the presidential campaigns getting a lot of attention, but there are great candidates running up and down the ticket. So we're following a lot of those races, too, and hoping for the best for tomorrow.
I mean, so are we. And I'm finding it incredibly stressful. Really, we're just focusing now on these few states. From your point of view, how close do you think this race is going to be?
So it could be very close. Look, the strange thing about the system that we've got right now in the U.S. Is that you can have, as it looks like Joe Biden has, a 10-point lead nationally, but it doesn't count unless you win in these critical states. Later on, I hope we'll have a conversation as a country about how our system might be a little fairer, but this is the system we've got. And a lot of it is going to come down to some of these crucial swing states, which is why we're really urging everybody who cares about where this is headed. If you haven't got your vote in early, go to iwillvote.com. You can find out how to vote in your state, where your polling location is, all that stuff. And if you're not sure about it, maybe you already voted, but you're not sure about a couple people in your life, it could make all the difference in the world if you just call a friend, call a cousin, call someone that you care about, and double check that they made a plan too. It's all going to come down to getting out the vote, both that early vote we've been pushing throughout and that critical election day vote.
I mean, and that election day vote is critical, because obviously we've all seen the news stories of the past few weeks or even month where, you know, record numbers of mail-in ballots, and you know, President Trump and his campaign team have already started saying that, oh, these votes shouldn't be counted, there's mail-in fraud and all these things. If he claims victory, firstly, how can he even do that? And secondly, how do we stay calm and go, no, we just have to count every vote?
So this is where we got to remember that our country is democratic. It's one of the defining characteristics of America. And this isn't up to the president. It's up to us. He can say whatever he likes. But we've got to make sure that all those votes get in, that all those votes are counted. And, you know, especially when you think about, for example, troops serving overseas who've had to mail in their ballots, people who voted early. Everyone deserves, every eligible voter deserves to be counted. And, you know, the good news is the people who are working the polls, I mean, I've met them in our community around the country. They're doing their job with integrity, and they're going to make sure that those votes get counted. The president, as he always does, is going to make a lot of noise. But he can't drown out the simple reality of the Americans who are coming out to vote.
But he's sort of stirring up so much kind of rage and anger, as he always had. I mean, just over the weekend, you know, we saw Trump supporters surrounding, you know, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's bus. I know they weren't on the bus, but they was traveling through Texas, in New Jersey, and New York. They've shut down bridges and major highways. Just driving into work this morning, I'm seeing shops being boarded up. It's all well and good saying, like, well, you know, we have to keep calm and trust the process. What would your advice be, and how nervous are you about talk of civil unrest this coming week?
Well, I mean, it shows you the chaos that we've come to in the Trump era. I mean, the idea that in the United States of America, we are worrying about the prospect of political violence shows you exactly why we can't afford 4 more years under this president. But again, you know, I believe that there is a really robust core to our system. And by the way, also, this kind of thing's only happening because there's a level of panic on his side. I mean, this behavior you're talking about, this is not the kind of thing you do when you're winning. It's a show of desperation, and it's not going to help. I mean, if there's one thing that you know, we've learned in recent years, it's that you know, shutting down bridges in New Jersey has not exactly worked out well for the Republican Party. These kinds of things aren't going to help their cause, and they're I think only going to strengthen the awareness that what's happening now. I mean, look, I'm a Democrat like Joe Biden, and I'm supporting a figure from my party. But we got a lot of Republicans and independents crossing over because they're just as disgusted with this kind of stuff. And it's helping us build a coalition that isn't just one party. It's Democrats, progressives, moderates, independents, Republicans all saying enough is enough. It's time to get a new president. And that all comes to a head tomorrow. But
it's lovely to hear you talk like that. It really is, because, you know, from my point of view, my entire life growing up in High Wycombe, Buckinghamshire, in the United Kingdom, America was just this, it was this beacon of hope and joy and positivity. It was a place where anything was possible. And me and my family, our children, you know, I have an American daughter, and we rushed here, and it was incredible. And it's really only been in the past sort of 2 years that friends of mine back home have gone on the phone going, you're not going to stay there, are you? You know, you're not going to... And so it's one thing saying we have to beat Trump. That doesn't beat Trumpism or what he represents.
That's right.
What do you, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, senior members of the Democratic Party, what's your plan for trying to reset the country and rebuild so much of what's been broken over these last 4 years?
Yeah, I mean, this is up to all of us. I think step one is getting the right kind of leader, and that's who Joe Biden is. But, you know, this is really something we've got to do in our own lives to remember what America can be and build a future where everybody can belong. I'm so concerned about the breakdown of trust in not just in institutions, but in each other in this. I wrote a whole book about it. And we've got to find ways to build common experiences that cut across political lines and build that kind of trust in one another that's needed, not just for politics, but just for our country to be able to run, for things to be able to work. At the end of the day, we live in the same reality. You might not always be able to tell from going online, but the hard truth is we're going to rise and fall together as a country. And we've got to make sure, especially the 2020s, which I think will be a decade that will go down in history one way or the other, just make or break for, I think, the whole American project. And as you talk about, I mean, the whole world is watching. Got a lot of friends around the world watching who want America to be our best America. And ultimately, yes, that's up to having a better president, but it's up to all of us. But
I think you play a major part in this. I really, really do, because you will know this, I'm certain. You've earned this wonderful nickname of Slayer Pete for your sharp takedowns of Fox News anchors and pundits. I think it's been incredible watching you sort of go into the lion's den in a way. And I think your attitude this whole campaign has been, I found it really enlightening. Do you believe that you can change some Republicans' minds by going on Fox News and being so open with truth and facts?
Absolutely. Look, not everybody. You're not going to win everybody over, but you know, yes, this is a network that is not very friendly to my party or my perspective. But I know how many people get their news from this network, and they're watching in good faith. And I can't be mad at somebody for not supporting my perspective if they've literally never heard it. So it's my job to cross that line, to poke through the walls of that media bubble. And as long as they're going to have me on, I've got to get on there. I'm doing it again tonight to make sure that that perspective is there. And I do think there are a lot of people who maybe voted Republican their whole lives, maybe grew up in a family where, you know, being Republican was just the same thing as being a patriotic American or being a person of faith. But now they're seeing, wait a minute, especially with this president, that's not me. That's not who I am. And they're ready to do something different. I got to help let them know it's okay to change your mind.
My favourite part when you go on Fox News is not necessarily the moment when you speak. It's the 3 seconds of silence back in the studio as the hosts completely get absolutely terrified and go, moving on. Now, of course, maybe all of this is happening during this most strange of times where, you know, 80,000 new infections of COVID-19 are being reported daily. We just saw, and we talked about it at the top of the show, the latest Trump rally where people were chanting "Fire Fauci." I mean, what do you think when you see this sort of behavior?
You know, it's really disturbing because you lead from the top. And the example that the president sets matters, not just the policies. Obviously, we need better policies to get everybody health care and take care of these issues, but just the example you set. He's telling a lot of people that it's perfectly okay to gather in close quarters and not have a mask on and blame doctors somehow for this pandemic. And when he signals that, a lot of people are going to believe it just because it's the president of the United States. You know, down to the most basic level of families and communities. When I became mayor, I realized just something like, you know, wearing a bike helmet when I was riding a bike was important, not just because people would, think less of me if they saw me without one, but because a kid might see that example and think that they didn't need to be safe. That goes all the way up to the highest office in the land. And we deserve a president who's going to model what we all need to be doing, which, by the way, is a pain. I get it. Like, it's not fun to wear a mask, let alone the huge sacrifices that people have made with, students not being able to study in school and family gatherings being called off and all the things all of us have put up with it. But our best chance to ending that and moving on is to do the right thing and get this pandemic under control. I just don't think it's going to happen under this president.
No, I think you're right. Let's talk about your brilliant new book, Trust, which is Trust, America's Best Chance. Now, you wrote this while in quarantine, which has made me feel very lazy, I'll be honest. I barely got off the couch, but you managed to write a book. What inspired you to get this idea of trust on people's minds? Because I think it's a really interesting thing to think about.
So I think we got a real problem in this country with trust in government, trust in each other, and trust around the world in the U.S. itself. And I was thinking about all the problems we face, the pandemic, the crisis around racial justice, dealing with climate change. These are all things that require cooperation, and cooperation requires trust. I learned that in a really vivid way during my experience in the military when I was deployed. I learned to trust my life to the professional judgment and skill of people I had just met. People, by the way, who often had totally different political views than mine, but that didn't matter. They didn't care, and neither did I. We just had a job to do. And we need to find ways as a country to build up that level of trust. Now, I wrote the book because I wanted to start conversations about how we can become a more trusting and a more trustworthy society before it's too late.
Yeah, I think trust is the biggest thing that's come to the fore throughout the pandemic, actually. In every sort of part of your life, it's even if your kids are going to have a socially distanced play date in the garden, my wife and I are thinking, well, do we trust those parents? Do we trust that they haven't been anywhere? And I think it's an incredible thing to write about at this point in American politics. Let me ask you this. No matter what happens, if we find out the election results tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday or 10 days from now, like, no matter what happens, are we going to be okay?
Yes, we will. We have to. We have to. We have to find a way to get through this. Look, this is a country that has been through pandemics. It's been through wars. At one point, half the country broke off and declared war against the first half, and this country still stands. And so we have got to find a way through this. And I believe that starts with electing new leadership. But this is about more than any one election. This is about more than politics. Look, I actually think that we could live to see something incredible in this country. We're just a couple of decades away from being a country that has no racial majority. A country that by mid-century could have solved some of the toughest problems around racial and economic justice, around climate, could be a full-scale, large, multiracial, pluralistic democracy with a place for everybody, where everybody can belong. We're the generation that could see that happen. Now, we're also the generation that could blow it, right? I mean, that's part of why this election is so high stakes. But if we get it right in the next few years, the 2020s could go down in history as the time when America stood up and turned in a better direction. And by the middle of this century, could be delivering to humanity something as important as the founding of America itself. I really believe that, if we do the work. And that's why we're doing the work.
Oh, God bless you. More with Mayor Pete when we come back, everybody.